Yo, what is up guys, Gray here, and today we have got our week 4 battle of the BBR against JBWestside and his Los Angeles Cinderaces. Nearly said Cincinnati Dreads. I did say that in a previous recording, had to scrap that one. This man changes his team literally like every time we face him. He's got a problem, but you know, that's not for us to deal with. But before we get into the trades and the team builder, make sure to go and check out my opponent and all the other coaches in the BBR. And if you're supporting the Titangs this season, make sure to leave a like. Support is greatly appreciated. But without further ado, let's get into, and it's firstly off the trades. So you'll be able to see them on the screen. We had quite a major shift in our team. We had 5 trades. We traded away Center Scorch, Executor, Lycanroc, Comfey, and Palisand. And we picked up Dracloak, Carcol, Rabombi, Vileplume, and Indeedee male. Not the female one, we don't get one of the two, but I think we got the better one anyway. And honestly, I don't know how I feel about these trades. When I was doing the trades, I felt like I needed a grounded poison type, because we all saw that week 2 and how terribly we dealt with toxic spikes. So I felt like a grounded poison was definitely needed. Sadly, the only good poison types that were available really were Salazzle and Vileplume. And I say sadly, they're both very good mons, but they were more points than the 80 that I could potentially drop something and pick up. So unfortunately with that, it kind of set in motion like me changing my entire team. And initially I had Palpitoad and Flareon because I thought Palpitoad was 20 points. Turns out it was 40. I mean, even as an admin in the league, I still managed to get that wrong. I don't know where I saw it was 20, but apparently everything is 40 in the bottom tier. So unfortunately, despite Palpitoad, me thinking it'd be 20 and picking up Flareon, we weren't able to do so. And I had a look through at the rest of my season, and I had a look at what electric types we were facing and whether or not we really needed a good ground type or a ground type at all. And looking at it, I think this week might be one of the hardest weeks we have to deal with an electric type. After that, the electric type should be very manageable. So I decided to forego a ground type altogether and picked up a second dragon type in Dracloak. It was just a budget pick. Like, I had a look through the tier and I honestly felt like Dracloak was the best thing there. We picked up Carcol when we couldn't get Flareon. Flareon, in my opinion, is much better. I love Carcol's design. It's such a well-designed one, but honestly, I think Flareon would have just been better for the team. Would have given us a Wish Passer, it would have given us good special bulk and physical offense. But Carcol has some merit. It does give me Stealth Rock, Spikes, and Rapid Spin, as well as having that Rock typing, which, you never know, could come in handy at some point. But it's, like, offensive presence is just non-existent. It's bulkier, but it doesn't really do any damage. It'll probably be brought at some point just to set up rocks and spikes or to remove some kind of hazards. So the real ones we're looking at here, like Vileplume, Indeedee, and Rabombi. Rabombi I've used in the past, and I believe it went like 18 and 7 in one season. It was nuts. Bug Fairy is a very underrated typing. Sticky Web is really nice for my team. It does mean that I don't have to run Choice Scarf quite as much, hopefully. And yeah, it's just all round a really good utility mon, as well as being offensively very strong as well. Quiver Dance means that it could be a setup sweeper, it could be run with like Choice Specs, Life Orb, and do a lot of damage. Vileplume is a really, really good bulky grass types. Very underrated in my opinion, but it also, like, it means that I'm not resisted to ground. I did look through my team and I felt like that wasn't a big deal. But at the same time, we just gotta be aware of that. Like, our rest of our defensive core takes ground types on relatively well. But the main reason I picked up Vileplume, grounded poison, strength sap's really, really good. It's a broken move, and its dual stabs are actually pretty decent. As a defensive mon, it gets leech seeds, it gets sleep powder, and toxic. It's like basically all you need, just like 3 or 4 moves. I've just used it in PTL, and it was really, really good for me. So hopefully I can do the same in BBR. And lastly, we got Indeedee, and honestly, I just saw Indeedee in that 100-point tier. And I was like, that is just criminally undervalued. So I just picked it up. It's a very, very strong Psychic type, hits really hard, sets up the Psychic terrain, which means we can potentially use like Psychic Is it Psychic Seed? I believe it's Psychic Seed. We can like try and get something working. We don't have any unburden users or anything like that, but it doesn't mean that we can't potentially get some value out of the Psychic terrain in one way or another. Also means that mons like Weavile don't have to worry so much about priority. So yeah, Ndidi was really, really solid, but honestly, I don't know if my team... I think my team's worse off in terms of like overall good mons, because now my team's gone from like 10 usable mons to potentially like 8/9 if you want to count Dracloak and Karkar as like half viable. But anyway, that's our trades. Let's get into the team builder for this week. So Curum, Zeraora, Primarina, Hitmonlee, Crocodile, Espeon, Talonflame, Garbodor, Gourgeist, and Mawile is the team we are facing. And honestly, just like look at this matchup and tell me where my Curum switch is, because I don't have one. I genuinely don't. Something I very much overlooked was my ability to switch into this mon. And because of that, we do have some kind of weird sets. My main hope is to be able to out offense it, just stop it from coming in too many times and clicking buttons. Yeah, we just don't have great switch-ins. Zeraora, we have very limited switch-ins to. I feel Vileplume and Luxray are good for switching in, but at the same time, like, knockoff is a problem. Blaze Kick, if it runs it, just does a big chunk to Vileplume. It's a big threat to my team, because it then just kills Keldeo, it kills Weavile, it kills Skarmory, it can kill Goodra with Play Rough. Like, Rabombi and Ndidi are not physically defensive whatsoever. So, yeah, like, Zeraora is a problem. Primarina, again, just no switch-ins. Like, Vileplume is my best switch-in, but it doesn't switch into either of his other special attackers. Espeon and Curum just one-shot it. Doesn't switch in particularly well to Talonflame either. Well, it doesn't switch in at all to Talonflame, but it does bring Talonflame in, which is terrible against my team, because that mon, I have no switch-ins to that either. Like, this is something I've noticed, and whether this is just because of the trades I made, like, I have no switch-ins to anything anymore, which is really rough. I think Talonflame is one of those weird mons that we're not going to face like that typing again this season. So, like, any flying types, hopefully in the future we can check with other mons, but fire flying just beats my defensive core apparently. Hitmonlee is decent, but I think unless it's running like, I don't know, like Unburdened close combat with White Herb or something like that, I just don't think it's particularly great against my team. I definitely have things like Skarmory that can whirlwind out if it's an Unburdened set. I've got Vileplume, checks it relatively well. Luxray can come in and intimidate it. Rabombi, if it's Choice Scarf, I think outspeeds Hitmonlee potentially with his Unburden, depending on what set he's running, especially if we do potentially bring webs and get them up. Crocodile, I think, has a terrible matchup. It doesn't break Skarmory, it struggles against Vileplume, it loses to Keldeo, it doesn't take a hit at all from Weavile. So I don't think that Crocodile has the best matchup, but if he brings it, it's probably just as some kind of like Scarfed Rocks, I reckon, because there's no other set that really does any damage, and Scarf gets hardball by Skarmory if I was to bring it. So yeah, I think Crook probably not the best matchup for it. I definitely think he's got better mons against me. Espeon can take full advantage of the psychic terrain, which it's like he doesn't have an Ndidi switch in, so it's a very good chance that I'll bring it, and it's definitely an option for him. Also, I've seen the last 2 weeks ago, I think this is week 2. Spoilers if you haven't seen his battle, but he brought a psychic quick attack focus sash Espeon to be able to knock out, to bait and knock out a Galvantula so it didn't get webs. If we're bringing Rabombi this week, then I've got to watch out for that. I think that's the only set realistically that does a lot. If it's choice specs, it does give us free switches into Weavile if it clicks a psychic move. If it clicks like a fairy move, then we can go into like things like Vileplume and Skarmory. So I don't think specs is amazing, just because it does kind of hinder his ability to really do too much damage with it. Garbodor could be good for Toxic Spikes. We've seen what Toxic Spikes have done to me in the past, but other than for Toxic Spikes and maybe poisoning something, I don't see Garbodor being particularly great. Gourgeist, I don't think is amazing. Like, just Weavile by itself is enough to scare it. I believe, unless it's cold berry, but then like he's got to make a decision which berry he goes for, because both its stabs just take it out. Things like the Rabombi can set up on it, and Didi can smack it for good damage. It is immune to its ghost stab. Vileplume doesn't care, Skarmory doesn't care, like Goodra can be Sap Sipper, so that could just do nothing to me. I don't think Gourgeist has a good matchup, and Marwell has surprisingly a fantastic matchup against me. It's dual stabs plus things like Fire Fang or Thunder Punch and Ice Punch, Sucker Punch knockoff. Like, there's so many moves that this thing can run that would be a problem to my team, and it's just about like bulky enough to be able to take hits. I really don't have great switch-ins to fairy types. If I'm not bringing Skarmory, I don't have a great switch into fairy types. Sorry, if I'm not bringing Skarmory and Vileplume, then I don't. But yeah, if he brings both Marwell and Primarina, we're going to be very pressured to be able to switch in our 2 resists. So with that, let's get into our team. First up, we have got Samir the Indeedee making his debut. We're Expanding Force, Psyshock, Hyper Voice, Dazzling Gleam. We are bulky, we are modest, and we are Choice Specs. This thing just runs through his team. We're not going to outspeed anything, but we have enough bulk on this to be able to take hits. We're not going to take many of them, but like I said, I don't think he's bringing the Crook, so Expanding Force should be free. If he does bring it, Hyper Voice will 2-hit KO Crocodile unless it is Assault Vest with a bunch of Spadef. Outside of that, nothing on his team is taking Expanding Force. Primarina, if it's Spadef with AV, isn't 2-hit KO'd. And Marwell, if it's also got a ton of Spadef and AV, isn't 2-hit KO'd. Everything else on his team either gets 1-shot or 2-shot by Expanding Force. Psyshock is there to do more damage to an Assault Vest Primarina, and Dazzling Gleam is kind of just there as like a filler move. To be honest, like, it hits the Crook, it'll hopefully 1-shot the Crook, it'll hit Kyurem for super effective damage. Fairy type is just kind of nice against the team. It hits Hitmonlee as well for super effective, but Expanding Force just destroys that thing anyway. So yeah, Samir is just kind of here for the wall breaking. Next up, we've got Saucy the Rabombi with Moonblast, U-Turn, Stun Spore, and Sticky Web. We're actually underspeeding the Espeon potentially in this game. It depends whether or not he wants to run a similar set to what he did against, I want to say it was Lieutenant Gold in week 2, where he runs the Psychic Quick Attack stuff. Then I will outspeed and I can U-turn. I have a Mon in the back that can actually switch into this, switch into Espeon okay, and scare it out. Moonblast hits a lot of his team. Like I've said, Fairy coverage is just very, very strong against him. U-turn, just for things that we don't really appreciate switching in, like the Marwell, like Talonflame, Garboda, like we can just switch out on them. Stun Spore is nice for speed control if we can't get our webs up, and Sticky Web is really nice if he's running like a Choice Scarf Kyurem. It's good for Zeraora, it means it's being outsped by my offensive mons. Primarina doesn't matter too much unless it's Choice Scarf, but you never know. And Crook, if it's Choice Scarf, which I think is like one of the better sets against me, that will also be nerfed. Hitmonlee, if it's White Herb, will obviously remove that stat, but it does then force his Unburden, which is really nice. And it means that we can then go into something like Luxray and get the Intimidate off. And at that point, it's quite a bit weakened. So yeah, Rabombi is kind of here as a utility. It's Focus Sash as well, I should probably mention that, just in case he does outspeed me with his Espeon, and he is like Choice Specs, then we guarantee to live on that turn, and we can just bring it back in at some point. And mainly at that point, it's just kind of a sack, but we can bring it in on the Kyurem if we know it's not Choice Scarf. We can bring it on Hitmonlee if it hasn't got the Unburden, and we can bring it in on Crook if it's not Scarfed as well. So next up, we've got Luxray with Volt Switch, Play Rough, Light Screen, and Toxic. Bit of a weird set this week, and I was going to go back and forth between Leftovers and Rocky Helmet. Rocky Helmet being really, really nice for the Zeraora, for the Marwell, and for the Hitmonlee. But at the same time, I felt like if I ran Rocky Helmet, I'm probably getting whittled down too quickly. And also, it doesn't bait him into attacking me, like Leftovers would. If he wants to just like keep hitting me, that's absolutely fine. Like, he might stay in with Zeraora. If that's the case, then I can get off a free Toxic. If he's bringing Crook, good chance it has Intimidate, and it will also not appreciate the Toxic. It doesn't appreciate Play Rough. And yeah, things like It's basically a switch into this is like Zeraora, Crook, Garboda, and Marwal, I think, depending on whether it's like a defensive Marwal or not. Volt Switch will do a good chunk to most of those mons. It will obviously hit the Primarina for good damage and gives me initiative against things like the Curum and the Espeon. Play Rough hits a lot of his team. Light Screen is just there in case we're in a situation where, like, his last 3 mons are, say, Espeon, Primarina, Curum, then we can set up that Light Screen and we can hopefully sweep with something else on our team, or we can just take the hits better so we can whittle something else down. It's more of like kind of a, like, if Luxray's going down on this turn, I'm just going to click Light Screen and hopefully something else can come in and take advantage of it. Next up we have got Big Dripper, our Goodra, with the choice Scarf this week, with Outrage, Power Whip, Thunder Punch, and Rock Slide. Honestly, I might change Rock Slide out for Earthquake. I have recorded this once and I was convincing myself, basically as I was talking, that Earthquake was going to be better than Rock Slide. Rock Slide is a nice middle ground for Talonflame and for Curum, but Earthquake hits the Zeraora, it hits the Garboda, and it hits the Marwal, so I think that's just generally better. If it brings Gourgeist, we do kind of get hard-walled by it, but at the same time, outside of a Will-O-Wisp, which I have switched into a Will-O-Wisp, I don't think Gourgeist is going to be able to touch me, so that's kind of nice. Outrage, if his Fairy types go down, or if he doesn't bring his Fairy types for whatever reason, just runs through his team. Bit of chip damage on a couple of mons, and Outrage just literally just run through his team. There's not a lot on his team that wants to take it. Power Whip is just solely there for the Primarina, really, but it also hits the Crocodile, which is kind of nice. Thinking about it, maybe just get rid of Power Whip for Earthquake, because Rock Slide is nice as like a middle ground. I don't know. The moveset on this Goodra probably won't be the same when it comes to the battle, but I will let you know if it is any different. We're Adamant Nature with enough speed to outspeed Zeraora, plus a couple of extra points in case he wants to try and speed creep. Just because, like, I've said in a couple of videos, like, I've gone for a little bit of risky speed creeps in the past, so it's nice to occasionally not run a speed creep and just run like max speed to be able to catch a potentially greedy speed creep. So yeah, next up we've got what looks like on this screen a very standard Weavile with knockoff, Ice Shard, Triple Axle, and Poison Jab. It's not standard Weavile, it's running Assault Vest. And I should probably explain my logic, because Weavile is by no means a bulky mon. It's a glass cannon, and why would I ever run Assault Vest on a glass cannon like this? Well, I don't have a switch into Curum, and I don't really have a switch into Primarina. However, with this set, I can take 4 Ice Beams from a Choice Scarf Curum. If it's Specs, I can still take 3. Primarina, unless it's Specs or it's got a +1 on a Calm Mind boost, something like that, I can always take a Moonblast, and I can always hit it for good damage to Poison Jab. The main job of Weavile here, firstly, is to switch into Curum and Espeon. If he locks himself into a Psychic move, then Espeon just drops. And he also may want to go for the Dazzling Gleam. Unless he's Choice Specs, Dazzling Gleam is not 2-hit KOing me. And we can just knock that off into Ice Shard or something like that. Knockoff or Triple Axle deals with Curum really nicely. If it's like a sub leftovers set, then I can always click the knockoff, get rid of the leftovers. If it's Heavy Duty Boots, it means that it's not then switching back in and taking these sticky webs, like it's going to be slower. Poison Jab hits Primarina as long as it's not defensive for about 70%, which is really, really nice. That is like max HP, I believe. It does 70% too. Triple Axle then just hits everything else on his team for really good damage outside of that Marwal. This is why I think Marwal is coming, because it actually checks my team really nicely and hits back for really good damage. So last up we have got our Keldeo, and once again we are running Scold, Toxic, Sub, but we're running Protect this week, because last week if I'd been running Protect, I would have been in such a lot better place. I could have got health back, I could have protected to keep my Sub. Like, there was so many different things that I could have done if I had just had Protect over Taunt. I mean, last week's game would have been like far less stressful. If I had played my Palisand like good in any way, last week's game would have been less stressful, because Palisand in the late game just kind of won. But I played like an absolute moron around his Incineroar, and then just kind of sacked off my Palisand after that. But that's last week. This week we are running this set, and it's basically just a bait, because Primarina is a problem. If we can bait in the Primarina and Toxic it, that's ideal. We always click sub just in case he wants to go into his Espeon. Sub protects us from the magic bounce, and we can freely click Toxic against things like Kyurem. We can click Toxic against Primarina, obviously when we're behind sub, and then we could start protecting. We can sub protect over and over until those mons are weakened to a point in which my Goodra can come in and just kind of clean up. That's really my end game, is try and get Goodra in. This is very, very offensive, very much like some weird sets that are probably not going to work. Like, honestly, I don't expect things to work particularly well. Like, my expectations are low, but it's like a hyper offense team, but with some bulk and like not offensive sets, and then you got like an AV Weavile in there for some reason. Like, I don't know, this game was rough. Like, the matchup is terrible, and I just felt like I needed to bring a bit of spice, bit of heat, and hopefully it's enough to kind of throw him off. And I think, like, if I can get the Primarina weakened, if I can get the Kyurem, if I can get my Goodra in on Kyurem, like, I gotta scout out what set it is first. But if I can get my Goodra in once Primarina or Mawile has gone down, I'm having a great time. I'm not dying to Talonflame. I'm not dying to Scarf Ice Beam from Kyurem. Like, technically, Goodra should be my late game win con, but I don't see many scenarios in which I can kind of keep it for a late game. I just gotta kind of play aggressively and try and make my meme sets, my semi-viable sets. I've got to make them actually work, and I think I've just got to keep playing for momentum. I've got to keep playing aggressively. I've got to make predictions. So we'll see. Either I'm gonna win this by like 1-0 again, or I'm gonna get 6-0'd. Like, I don't think there's too much in the middle ground. I think it's just gonna be one or the other. So if anything, it should be an entertaining battle. And yeah, if you guys are looking forward to the game, if you're supporting the Titangs this season, make sure to leave a like. And I'll see you guys in the battle in a minute. Well, seems to be good. Okay, so we're here for the battle. I need to pull up my calc before I press A, because last week I didn't do it. I'm pretty sure the week before I didn't do it. But there we go. We got the calcs. Everything's imported. We've actually like somewhat organised this week. But here we are for the battle. I think the 6 are going to be. He brought a Crook. I was surprised he brought Crook. What did he not bring? He didn't bring Mawile. He did bring Hitmonlee. Hitmonlee could be a bit of a problem. But he didn't bring the Espeon, so I think my lead potentially isn't. It might still be Ribombee, actually. Because Ribombee does try to prevent potential rocks. It is sashed as well, so like that's ideal. Oh, I've just eaten and had like a glass of chocolate milk, and I am I am feeling very gassy right now, so I do apologize if I am just burping through this entire commentary. But yeah, I'm fairly happy with that. I think Ribombee is my best lead. I kind of got my head into it because I'm a little bit kind of still on food right now, so. Right, well, good luck, have fun to JB. I'm not going to ask for a Haxus game, because every time I do, man, I just get haxed. So, let's hope for a haxy game. And also let's hope for the land timer to behave. It does seem to be pretty good. Oh, he's gone with the Dojo outfit, as he does lead off with the Talonflame. Honestly, that's kind of fine with me. I want to go for the Stun Spore on this, but at the same time, I kind of don't. I kind of don't, because I feel like he might U-turn here. Is Sticky Web my best play? I think it may well be. I do just lose my Ribombee for free if I do that. I do have Luxray, which is a pretty good switch in the back. I don't think I take too much from a Flare Blitz, if I remember correctly. After the Intimidate, yeah, I shouldn't take too much. I want to keep my Ribombee healthy, I think, and I'm just going to go straight out into my Luxray. I'm not going to mess around with this. Also, it may make him think that I am not sashed. He may also go for a U-turn. In that case, then that's fine. We get like really like no damage at all, and we'll get some intel on this. As he goes for the overheat. Ooh, that's, you don't want to see that. Okay, that's not bad damage. We should get a little bit back with lefties. I don't think he's going to want to stay in here. I think he's going to want to go into the Crook. He hasn't bought a Marwile, so actually Toxic is very free here. Yeah, I expect him to do a U-turn or to just hard switch. He's going to U-turn. I'm expecting the Zeraora or the Crook. Probably the Crook. And if he goes into Crook, I think I just go hard into my Ribombee. And probably go for a U-turn. Because I don't think he wants to stay in on that. Like, I'm 100% expecting the Crook. If he goes into Zeraora, that's also a thing that can happen and probably is not very fun for me. Because without the Intimidate, we don't take the hits quite as well. But effectively, that U-turn is just put me back in level with my leftovers, put me before. I definitely expect the Crook coming in. If I can Toxic the Crook, that's great. If I can Toxic the Zeraora, that's even better. If I can Toxic the Kyurem, fantastic. That is the Crook, yep. That's fine, we get the Toxic. Hopefully we get Toxic off on it. We do get Toxic off, okay. That's cool, and yeah, I'm just going to go hard with Ribombee here. So he's probably going to set up rocks, which means that if I don't go hard with Ribombee here, then there's a strong chance that I never really get much of a chance to use Ribombee in this game. Do I want to go for a U-turn or do I want to Moonblast? Against this team, like, Moonblast is very free against this team. I think he may want to just go back into his Talonflame. So I think I go Ribombee and then I go for a U-turn. Because I can always go into my Keldeo if needs be. If he's going for an attack here, I'm sure he's going for a ground type move. He may go for a knockoff as well, which is fine because it just knocks off my Focus Sash. And that's no big deal at all. We guaranteed outspeed this unless it's Scarfed, so unless he goes for Stone Edge here, predicting the switch. Yeah, he's just going to go for rocks. That was to be expected. I'm kind of surprised he brought this Crook, to be honest. Like, it's not good against my team at all. And I don't think he's going to just sack it off because it's still a good switch into my Luxray, especially now it's Toxic. So I probably want to go for the play rough next time I'm in that situation, just because it would be good to predict the switch. If he stays in, he stays in. Like I said, I can go out into my my Keldeo. I don't think he's going to stay in though, unless he's going for Stone Edge or potentially an Iron Tail, both of which my Keldeo resists. If he goes for knockoff, I resist that as well. Would be ideal because it does mean that I can't stall. Be a bit rough, but I don't think he's staying in here. I think he's going back into the. He actually goes into this. That's interesting. That's very interesting. Does that make me think he is Assault Vest? Potentially. I could go into. I could definitely go into this and just click Hyper Voice. I don't see anything switching in particularly. Let's have a look. Indeedee to a Primarina. I hate that you had to type in like almost a full Primarina. If that is a Assault Vest. Hyper Voice is not doing a ton to it. Psyshock we could go for, and then what's my best play here? Honestly, I think this is my best play. And I want to just go for the Hyper Voice, or do I want to go for a Psyshock? Do I care that much if the Crook comes in? I don't know if I do. I don't know if I do care too much if the crit comes in. That is a calm nature as well. There's a chance that it's not calm. It's leftovers. Okay, that's good information. This lefty's expanding force is doing a ton of damage. Hyper Voice would well, potentially 2-hit KO from this range, so I'm just going to click the Hyper Voice. If he stays in, then there's a good chance that this is very specially bulky. He does stay in. That's doing some very good damage. I will definitely take that. As he goes for the flip turn. Cool. That does a fair chunk to me as well, but we've got a lot of damage off on that Primarina. It's actually in range of my Weavile now. And that's very good information. He has the flip turn. So he's not a setup variant, which is also really, really good for my team. Because I didn't deal well with that at all. And he probably goes into Zeraora here. Maybe back into Talonflame. That is Hitmonlee. Interesting. I think I kind of want to go back into my Luxray here. Now my sash is broken, that's a little bit unfortunate. Do I just want to throw off... How much is this doing? I mean, if he goes for knockoff here, then I just die. I think I have to go back into my Luxray on this. It's just a little bit unfortunate. It could be White Herb, and if he's White Herb, certainly, like, I could have just stayed in and clicked Hyper Voice. But he goes for the high jump kick. He hits. That's probably going to kill me. Yeah. That's very, very unfortunate. That's my switch into Talonflame gone. I'm going to assume he is Scarfed. He doesn't still switch into Ribombee well at all. With that being the case, I want to go into my Ribombee because it's high jump kick that absolutely shouldn't kill me at -1. Ribombee. Yeah, that's doing like very little damage. Do I want to throw up a sticky web here? Start putting on some pressure. I could do. I very well could do. I could also throw off a stun spore, expecting the Talonflame to come in. I think that's probably my play, because if he stays in, that's fine. If he goes out into his Primarina paralyzed, it's certainly not the end of the world. But I think the Talonflame's probably coming in here, because if I go for webs, then he's not in the best situation. He does go into it. Okay, so if we can paralyze this, come on, Ribombee, don't let me down. Good. Yes. Okay, nice. We get the power on this, which means we now, well, we would outspeed it if it's not, like, we don't know what set it actually is. I'm quite happy going into, am I happy going into this? I think I am. It's my late game win con. Like, if I should have kept my Luxray. Honestly, like, what else did I have to switch into outside of Ribombee? And Ribombee just got 2-hit KO'd from the range it was at. I'm fairly sure it's not -1. I'm going to go out into my Goodra. I think it gives me the best offensive pressure. If he goes for the overheat here, then we're in a fantastic place. If he goes for the Brave Bird, we're in a less fantastic place, but at the same time it then does get rid of his potential... he does Brave Bird and protect... I forgot about that. Yeah, Psychic Terrain peters out here. What's his team looking like right now? What is my best move to hit things on his team? I think... Honestly, I think the Rock Slide is probably my best all-round play. It's hitting everything except for the crook at this point. And he might not know I'm Scarf. This may give it away. We do hit a Rock Slide, so this should be dead. Yeah, it is. Okay. So he has no way of removing hazards. If I can set up the sticky web at any point now, then I'm in a really good position. He should know at this point that I am... Well, he won't know I'm Choice Scarfed actually, but he knows I'm physical. And we have Primarina around half. He might go into Curum. And honestly, with the rocks up, Weavile doesn't look so great. He goes into Zeraora. I just don't have a switch into this anymore. Like, it's a case of I've got to sack something here. I think Goodra is still pretty much my win con. Indeedee can kind of just kill everything with Hyper Voice after I set up webs. But I need to set up webs first. And I don't know what I'm setting webs up on. Honestly, I think Keldeo is pretty expendable. Let's just have a quick look at his team. Like, I think if anything's going to go here, it's probably the Keldeo. I think he's clicking play rough, but like, there's nothing on my team that's taking that regardless. I think I do need to just switch. I'm going to go out into my Keldeo. Like, at the very least, this gives me intel on his set. We've wasted a lot of time. I just need to start clicking buttons quicker. As we are trying to communicate. We've had a good run up to this point. I think it's just, this is rough. Like, without my Luxray around, like, I didn't expect him to bring so many physical attackers, to be honest. So he goes for a bulk up. Honestly, don't know how I win from this point. Not gonna lie, I needed my Luxray around for this. I guess I can hope I live one. I don't live one, let's be honest here. He's at +1. Yeah, there's like no chance. No chance at all that I live one. He can go for play rough. Play rough actually won't kill me. Yeah, I'm gonna go for Scold. Just in case he goes for play rough, like as a middle ground play, and this doesn't kill me. Okay, he just goes for Plasma Fists. This will 100% just knock me out. I don't think there's any way of me... It was a crit, but I don't mean a crit mad. I should have clicked webs earlier. I think that's potentially where I went wrong. I mean, you don't live one. At this point, Earthquake's surely not doing enough. It's at +1 defense as well. Goodra... No. And it dies. And it just dies. I'm fairly sure too. I mean, it's got to be my play at this point. I think I got a bank potentially on a crit. But that's to minus defense nature as well. Yeah, there is like no chance. So, like, his team was just so good against mine though. He had 3 threats that I really couldn't deal with. This just absolutely kills me from this point. I just click Earthquake. I gotta hope for the best. He may well just outspeed me. Depending on what his set is, he may well just outspeed me. I gotta hope for... Like, I think I gotta hope for a crit, effectively, here. That's certainly not... That's doing literally no damage. We avoid the attack. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, JB, that's rough. We gotta click Earthquake again. Like, at some point I've got to try and I've got to try and bring in my... And that's... Yeah, that's put it in range. Hopefully he doesn't miss 2. Okay. Like, as much as I'd love him to miss 2, like... Hey, I've got GUI. Can I set up webs here? Do I need to set up webs here? I'll be able to set up webs. At that point, can I just click Hyper Voice and win? I can click. Is it worth keeping this around more? Honestly, like, I think my only way of winning realistically is... No, I do need this. I think at this point I just Ice Shard. But then that Hitmonlee comes in. Oh, this is a rough endgame. Yeah, I think I got a Ice Shard. And then... I mean, Hitmonlee wins regardless, actually. I don't have to Ice Shard, because I actually outspeed this now. But... just in case there's any funnies... do I want to just click knockoff? Like, he just comes in with... That was a misplay, I think. But at the same time, like, I lost my Rabombi, and Rabombi is actually really good in my endgame. I think my play was to try and just hope. Basically, it's just a hope. I'm going to just click knockoff. Like, if I can set up the webs, I might be able to set up webs on Hitmonlee. But, like, it just comes in now, and yeah, it just comes in now and destroys me. Brings in... Okay. That's actually kind of ideal for me. That's actually kind of ideal for me. I'm just going to click knockoff. This is like the situation we had Weavile for. If he's scarfed, then obviously he's going to outspeed me and kill me, but we knock off the Choppleberry. Interesting. As he goes for a Dragon Dance, okay, he's physical. I do believe that is then just the game. So, yeah, I don't believe that in any world I live anything unless he is like a special Kyurem with Dragon Dance. Like, that is potentially like a game-winning situation. I definitely misplayed with not bringing the webs, or not setting up the webs when I could have against Zeraora. Man, like, triple axel killed. What was I thinking? Man, it was such a dumb play. Such a dumb play. Like, I misplayed this one hard. This is on me. Oh, it sucks. Like, I don't know what it was, but like, I was just thinking in my head, I have no way of dealing with Hitmonlee, but I have Weavile. Weavile literally cleaned up this game, I think. I just gotta... I don't know. I don't even know what I can hope for here, like a miss or something. Yeah, I just gotta set up Sticky Web. This is what I should have done on the Zeraora. I should have sacked off my Rabombi, got the Sticky Web up, gone into Weavile. Maybe he misses? He doesn't miss. Yeah, this is game. I don't know what it is this season of BBR. I'm not playing well, and this matchup was not great. But I've also just played this atrociously. I played it so bad. Like, I would argue this is the worst I played all season, and that's against, like, I've had 2 bad games prior to this. So I don't know. I'm frustrated with myself because I definitely could have played this better. Like, I had to set up webs when the opportunity arose, because Weavile had the opportunity to just kind of go through this team. But it is what it is. Good games, JB. He played it well, and man, his team is just gross. Like, his team is just so good. I had very little to deal with his offense in general. Like, he just brought a lot of physical attackers, and I didn't have a whole lot of physical defense. Like, I'm shocked that he brought physical Buren. I genuinely am. Like, I fully expected special because I had Skarmory, and Skarmory like walled that set so well. But anyway, yeah, good game to James. Shit, giving away his name. Good game to JB. I wish I could have given him a better game, but I didn't play that well. I didn't play that well at all. I'm definitely a little mad at myself. We go to 2-2. I want to say it's like -6 or something. Oh, no, it's not that much. -4, -5, somewhere around there. But we'll be back next week, hopefully with a better game. Like, I don't know. I'm frustrated with myself. I haven't played well this season on BBR. I don't know whether it's the Wi-Fi or whether it's the team or whatever it is. I'm just not playing well. I'm not making good plays that I would normally make. Like, my play was always to go into Rabombi, sell at the webs, and then just try my best to sweep with like Indeedee and Weavile, because between the two of them they could definitely have done it if they were under webs. But oh well, it is what it is. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, there's no point in rambling on too much. Like, I've not played well for 3 games and I've lost 2 of them. So in reality, I should have lost my week 3 as well, because I just sacked off things that I didn't need to. But anyway, enough of the mopey bullshit. We'll come back stronger next week, hopefully with a better matchup, better team. And yeah, if you did enjoy this battle as much as I did not, then leave a like and subscribe if you're enjoying the content. And until the next one, have a great day, guys. Peace.